want to do maybe a weekly thing. This will actually be a vlog, and I want to talk about my youngest daughter, who's 22 months old. Her name is Willow. I've talked about her a little bit here and there in some videos. You may have heard me say that I wouldn't be able to upload a new crafting video because I would be stuck at the hospital with her. So if you don't know, when Willow was 6 months old, she had a liver transplant. So I want to talk about what it's like to be her mom, her caregiver, and just what we have to deal with on a daily basis, and maybe that will help other families who are going through a similar situation. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to me. It's a hard road that we live on, but we live. So I just want to talk about that. To get into this vlog, we're gonna have to start from the beginning, and then we'll go from there. So today we're gonna be talking about what happened to Willow. So we have to go back to California. That's where we were previously living because my husband is in the military, and that's where we were stationed. So he came home one night from work. We were both in the kitchen cooking dinner together, and we were passing Willow back and forth to one another. Something that we did every day was look at Willow's eyes. My husband has blue eyes and a fair complexion, and I have brown eyes and a little bit of a darker complexion. So we wanted to see who was going to be the winner, and was she going to have blue eyes like daddy or brown eyes like mommy? Because our first child together, she is like a carbon copy of her dad. Blue eyes, strawberry blonde hair. She has more of his features than she does of mine. I mean, I'm in there a little bit, don't get me wrong, but she looked like her daddy. So he said to me, hey Erin, can you come look at her eyes? And I thought, oh my gosh, she must have blue eyes today. And he won. So I go over, and the whites of her eyes, you guys, were yellow. And I immediately knew something was wrong. I ran to my phone and I called the nurse's line, because we're in the military and we have to get permission to go to an urgent care at the time. And I told the nurse that my child's eyes were yellow, and I kind of undid her onesie, and her skin didn't look yellow, but it had more of an olive toned complexion, which it might have been that way all day, but it didn't dawn on me because there are a lot of people on my side of the family who have olive toned complexions because there's a lot of Italian blood in my family. So they told me to wait and call her pediatrician in the morning, and I would be good to get a hold of somebody within the next 24 to 72 hours. This did not sit well with me. My husband was like, well, she's a nurse, like, she's prompted to ask you certain questions. It should be fine, like, she'll be fine. My gut kept telling me, no, this is not fine. This is not okay. Something is seriously wrong, and she needs to be seen by a doctor now. So I was pacing the house, and I was just not feeling comfortable, and I have anxiety. So my husband knew that I wasn't going to go to sleep at all that night. And he's like, you know what, call the urgent care again, get somebody else on the phone, and just see what they say. So I call and I explain it again, and the lady was like, hey, yeah, so I'm prompted to tell you the same thing the last nurse was told to tell you. But there is a new thing where we let you go to the urgent care twice in a year without a referral. So if you really want to go, just go. So I paced around the house some more. My husband really likes to keep those 2 free urgent care visits for the eldest because she has epilepsy, and you never know when she's gonna have a really bad seizure. And so I was pacing around the house some more, and he said, you know what, forget it, let's just take her to the urgent care. It'll calm your nerves, you'll feel better in the morning if we just go and do this now. I said, yes, please, and thank you. So we headed out. It took an hour to get her labs back, which is typical for liver labs. And the doctor came in, the attending at that urgent care, and he came in with the nurse. And he said, he let out a sigh like that. I don't know how to say this. And that is the moment my stomach slammed into the ground, because I knew something was terribly wrong with my baby. He said, you need to get to a big hospital right now. You need to get her admitted and you need to have some kind of surgery or something because something is terribly wrong. He said, here's a piece of paper. This has her liver numbers on it. They are crazy high. They are nowhere near normal. Something is wrong with this baby. Do you want me to get you an ambulance? And my husband said, can I take her to UCLA? Because that's where my oldest is seen and we trust the doctors there. And he said, UCLA, Children's Hospital LA, either one, get her there now. Do you want me to get you an ambulance? My husband said, nope, I can get to UCLA faster than an ambulance. He was not lying. So we get to the hospital and it felt like forever trying to get admitted. I should have taken the ambulance so they would have taken me right back there. I was like, you need to admit my baby. Here's the paper with her labs. The doctor says I'm wrong. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Finally, we get to a room and I tell the nurse everything that was happening. And she's like, oh, he was probably over exaggerating. Don't worry about it. Blah, 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 blah. They take more labs. They bring in sugar water and say her glucose is terribly low. She needs to drink this. Then they said we need ultrasounds and they scanned every single one of her organs. And then it was just wait. People would come in and out and look at stuff on the computer in the room and not tell us anything. And then another lady came in and she's like, I might have to transport you to our hospital and I don't remember where, but it was like an hour away. And I was like, okay, what's wrong? And nobody was still telling us anything. They just kept checking her blood and saying her sugar was crazy low. So finally they came in and said, we're gonna keep you here. We can't send you anywhere else. We need you to be here. And we're sending you to the PICU. And I already knew, and she's going to the ICU. What is going on? We get up there, we get situated, they're hooking her up to all kinds of machines. Still, no one has told me anything. It's a little after 5:30 in the morning, and a doctor comes in and she says, she's telling me all these different things and these numbers, and everything's just kind of blowing past my head because I don't know what's going on. And then she says the words that will forever be burned into my brain. She said, she's in liver failure. We don't know why. We need to figure this out now. And I said, okay, that's fine. What do we have to do? And she said, we'll see the main doctors for the liver team in the morning in a few hours when they get here. I said, okay. She walked out the door and I completely lost it. This blood-curdling cry that I have never heard from me in my entire life came out. My husband was telling me, I can't do this by myself. You gotta help me. Pull yourself together. And that's what I did. I went through 2 boxes of tissue and I pulled myself together and I was helping him with what I could. Like, Willow doesn't know what's going on. She's 5.5 months old. She's crying. She, needs things and we're not home. And it was hard. It was really hard. The next few days were even worse. Other words came by and flying through my head and I didn't really know what they meant. Nobody knew what was going on. The only people who did were myself and my husband, and a couple of people that he works for because they were helping take care of my older 3 kids while we were in the hospital in the PICU. Finally, they told us that they were going to put her on the transplant list, that her liver wasn't going to heal itself because your liver is an organ that can heal itself, and it was dying all over, and they weren't really sure why. The only conclusion that they could come up with was that we had done a little traveling, visited some friends, and that perhaps somewhere along that traveling, she picked up a virus, and it didn't cause her to be sick in any way that we could see. No fever, no diarrhea, no vomiting. And this virus made its way to her liver, and her body started creating this antibody that we didn't know about until actually July, because it is a very rare antibody and nobody looks for it. And that antibody went and found the virus that was sitting in her liver, and it attacked it and it got rid of it. But that antibody was a little confused and started attacking her liver as well. This is just a theory. We don't know, we will never know, but that's what they believe happened. We were also told that if we didn't bring her in that night, she may have not woken up the next morning. So, there's that. PSA, always go with your mom gut. My mom gut said something was wrong, and I was not waiting until the next morning to talk to a doctor. I needed to go to the hospital. So, always go with your mom gut. They put her on the transplant list. Her score at the time, I believe, was a 22. A few days later, all of her labs and everything were getting worse. Her score went up to a 33. At this time, she was getting 2 units of plasma a day in a big bag from donors. And every other day, she was getting 1 unit of blood. She wasn't clotting. Her blood wasn't clotting at all. So that was an issue. They had to make sure that they could kind of fix that. She had a PICC line in her arm, at the time only 1, and she had a PIV, which is just an under the skin one, and that would pop out every couple of days because, again, she's 5.5 months old and she's tiny. She's hooked up to all kind of pumps, all kinds of medications all day. I literally couldn't hold her because there were so many things attached to her. And they kept telling me, oh, we'll help you, you can hold her. But it was so awkward and she was just uncomfortable. So I just let her play in the crib. And I'll post some pictures so you can see how yellow she got just within days of being in the hospital. So we went through all of that. Her score went from like a 22 to like a 33, and then they finally came in and they were like, we bumped her up from a 1B priority to a 1A priority, which is like the top of the list. And they were like, and her score is now, I believe, like a 42 or a 44, something crazy like that. So I asked, in your professional opinion, when someone is a child, because only children get these types of scores, gets a PELD score of a 44 on a 1A priority, how quickly do you see them get a transplant? And she said, in my professional opinion, I see it happen within 24 hours most of the time. So I said, okay. That's when it really became a reality that this is probably going to happen, because here you are sitting in a hospital waiting for the worst thing you could want to think of, someone else passing, and hopefully them being an organ donor or their family saying yes to organ donation, and your child is a match to get their organs so your child can live. That's not something you think about. It's not something you want to wish, but you also don't want to wish that your child passes. So all these things just go through your mind and you're not like in the right mindset. And I'm kind of on the verge of crying, guys, sorry. It's still really hard to talk about. And so all these emotions are going through you and you don't know how to think and you don't know how to act. And it was really stressful. Like at one point the nurses kicked my husband and myself out. They were like, she's sleeping, go downstairs and eat. Go walk to Chick-fil-A, go walk to the village and eat something, So you really want to try to do that for your mental stability, because you just get in this crazy mindset and this depression of kicking in and what ifs, and you start thinking about what do I have to do if this happens, and get out of the room. Just take a break. That's why the nurses are there. That's why child life is there. You need a break. Remember that. So I was thinking there's no way that she's gonna get a full liver, and a full liver means that you get the whole liver. So as myself, a 38-year-old woman, if I needed a liver transplant, I would more than likely, if I got a liver transplant from an organ donor who's deceased, I would get that person's whole liver. Willow's 5.5 months old and that big. She was tiny. There's no way she's getting one. They kept telling me she was gonna get what they call is a split liver. So they take a whole liver from a donor who's deceased, and they basically cut it into 2 halves. Because if you look at the liver, there's a large portion of the liver, and then there's a a vein, probably like a portal vein, and then a smaller part of the liver. And they'll split those two livers up, and they'll give it to two different people that need it, because again, the liver rejuvenates itself and it heals itself, and within weeks it grows back to its normal size. This is why you can have a living donor, because they will give you 60% of their liver, and their 60% will grow in your body to a normal 100%, and their 40% that's left in their body will grow back to its normal 100% in weeks. It's mind-blowing what the body can do. Like, I didn't know this about the liver or a human body until this was happening to my daughter. So I'm getting off track, and I'm sorry, this is getting long, and I don't want it to be super long. So I was thinking she was gonna get a split liver, and then on May 27th, we had been there 2.5 weeks at this point. A doctor I had never seen, it was a weekend, I wanna say it was a Saturday, Sunday maybe. A doctor I had not seen before had come in the room, and typically happens on the weekend. You meet new doctors, whatever attending's on duty that weekend. And she said, "Are you Willow's mom?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Have you heard the good news?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Well, we have a perfect match for Willow." Lost it again. Told her, I don't hug people, but you're getting a hug. And that hug probably lasted way too long. Sorry, doctor lady, my bad. And she told my husband and my kids and I that Willow was getting a full liver. And I was like, "Can you say that again?" And she said there was a 5-month-old baby who had passed away, and his parents said yes to organ donation. So because of them, my daughter is still here today. We don't know them, they don't know us, but they chose to say yes. And I will be forever grateful for that. So now that I've lost it again, I'm gonna cut this short. I don't want to make this too long anyway. And we will pick up next week and talk about how that went. So if you have a comment, please feel free to leave a comment below. If you have any questions about organ donation, I am more than willing to answer them as much as I can and as honest as I can. Feel free to leave a comment down below and I will get to you. I'm usually pretty quick about answering, like within a few hours, just depending on how the day is. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. Feel free to share this video. If you don't already subscribe to my page, that would be awesome. Hit the subscribe button. If you hit the bell up top, you'll get notifications anytime I post new videos. I have to think of the day that I want to do the vlogging. I don't know, maybe it'll be a Monday. Mondays are pretty good for me sometimes. So we'll see. I'll think about that later today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to be an organ donor, please go to registerme.org and sign up for organ donation. You can save up to 8 people being an organ donor. It's an amazing thing. There are thousands of people just in the US who are on the list. These kids, these adults are dying on the list because we don't have enough organ donors. Don't believe the myths, don't believe the movies, don't believe the TV shows and what you see, because that is not reality. I've lived it. I've been there every step of the way, and I've seen it and what it can do. So if you want to know more about that, please be here like every Monday and we'll talk about it. Until next time, guys. Bye. Thank you so much for watching and letting me vlog about this.